Hello, and here's the final in our section of video lessons and lectures on humanism. So, what we're going to be doing by looking at humanism today is by linking them to other topics on the Junior Cert Religion course and also revising humanism itself. The link we'll be making, of course, will be through looking at humanist ceremonies. So, how we would look at a wedding and baptism in Christianity would be different to a humanist wedding and a humanist naming ceremony, which would also be different to an Islamic wedding and an Islamic ceremony, a naming ceremony. So, first of all, for our revision. So, according to the British Humanist Association, what you have here are the three main beliefs of humanism, or as they say, humanism in a nutshell. As we're also looking at it, though, here's our key terms that you would need for the junior cert. That the difference between that everyone has a worldview, which is our general outlook on life, and then how you'd have a non-religious worldview. So how your point of view, how your opinions on everything that's going on around is shaped without any religious belief or any religious prejudice or idea, I suppose, for want of a better word. So those with a non-religious worldview believes that there should be a great degree of secularism. So it's the belief that religion should not influence society. It should not influence our businesses. It should not influence our politics, our schools, or anything like that. That's how secularism works. Humanism is this belief that humans are the highest form of being, that there is no God, that everything can be explained through evolution and reason and logic and science. And under humanism, you can have both atheists and agnostics. So if you're looking at this in terms of your exam, a common thing that can often come up is what's the difference between an atheism and agnosticism? Atheism is do you have the belief that there's no God whatsoever. Whereas if you're agnostic, it's the belief that you don't know whether there's a God or not, that there's no way that that can ever be proven. So what I also have attached in this is various different links on humanism. So there's a YouTube link by the British Humanist Association, and of course I will post this link into the descriptions in the comment box as well for you to look at in your own time about what humanists believe and how they believe what they believe. I suppose their advantages are of humanism, or why they're humanists. So I said in the very first lesson, and I'm still saying it again, guys, humanists is not a religion. Because there's no God or there's no organization or structure to it, humanism is much better described as a philosophy. It's based around the idea of humanity and concern for humans, that you're celebrating human achievement rather than any religious or supernatural achievement. That while evolution science can't answer everything, that it is a much better basis for how the world works and why the world is the way it is, rather than explaining it on sacred texts or supernatural beings. We know that humanism as a movement and as a word is at least 2,500 years old, so that it predates both Christianity and Islam. As we said, when you're looking and you're studying it in Renaissance terms, humanism and belief in God went hand in hand together. Not so much at this stage that humanism is associated with secularism, but at the same time, not all atheists and agnostics are humanists. And for a lot of religious people who do believe in science, who do believe in evolution, that you can be religious, that you can have faith, and with that, you can still have certain humanist beliefs. Now, another link that we can make is the Humanist Manifesto. So when we say a word like manifesto, we're thinking automatically like a business or political document. So again, there's no religious, there's no sacred connotations. So there's your contrast to things like the Bible and the Quran. And it was written in Chicago in 1933, and they laid out the key, I suppose, details and beliefs and fundamentals of humanism, which can be summed up in these 7 points here. And it's again everything that we've gone over in our video series. It's a natural phenomenon in the earth. It can be explained by science through things like the Big Bang, through things like evolution. It's all about evidence, because there is no God or afterlife, so you should celebrate human achievement. You find search for meaning and values in the here and now rather than worrying about an afterlife, because if you're a humanist, you don't believe there is one. So humanists are secularists, and it's also, as well as being secularists, part of that is celebrating the idea of human achievements in whatever field they choose to celebrate. And just a couple of key dates that you'd have here is, Darwin Day. As I said, arguably the most important scientist of the last 200 years. His day, and it's generally a day for celebrating the sciences and promotion of sciences, is February the 12th. And I suppose on a more humanist specific event is World Humanist Day. It's also important to recognize the symbol of humanism. Now, this was designed in 1965, so of all the major religions and philosophies that you'll be studying on this course, this is the most recent one. It's within living memory for quite a lot of people too, and that's the happy human, which was designed by the British Humanist Association. So the key to remembering this is obviously you have the head here in the center circle for symbolize the head of the human. But what you see is the body is outstretched, jumping for joy. And what I always tell people is think of Triple H the wrestler. You have three H's here. You have the H for happy, you have the H for human, and you have the H for humanist. Now, what you might want to do every now and again is, as you're studying this, pause the video and look at these questions. And you use this as your checklist to how, I suppose, how you're doing with your revision of the topic and do you know what you need to know. Same thing, what I will do is I'll post this video here in the comments section as well and in the description. And it's just about the idea of humanist belief in the afterlife and how you can explain that compared to an Islamic or Christian belief in the afterlife. We talked about the idea of living a good life or living a life that's worthwhile in humanism. It's the idea of treating each other with respect, using the moral codes, using your own idea of the golden rule, treating everyone with fairness and respect and equality. So again, in humanism, it's this belief that you have your own free will, that it's innate in you, that it's born in you, that you know the difference between good and bad, right and wrong, and how to do things not because you feel like it, but rather you're doing it for the sake of society and because it's the right thing to do. And they'd argue that that's within human beings innately anyway, rather than having a moral code to live by that's set down by some religious deity. Again, we talked about this, the idea of the meaning of life. That humanists believe they have the right and responsibility to find meanings in their own lives. You find this meaning by the here and now because there's no afterlife. So you live through this life without focus on the end, because the end is the end in the eyes of humanists. Okay, so that's why you're benefiting humankind, and you're following generally that golden rule that you treat others as you'd like to be treated. So now for today's lesson, we're looking at humanist ceremonies. So just like in other religions, humanists have ceremonies that mark, weddings, the naming of the child, and funerals. So they're led by trained celebrants, but what it is, it has a lovely personal effect that you can bring in your own beliefs, your own interests, your own songs, your own poems, stories, things that are special to you, that you're not confined by hymns or prayers or any restrictions of religion. They have become quite popular in Ireland over the last few years, and another advantage for humanist ceremonies is that they can be used for both same-sex and opposite-sex couples, which isn't allowed in churches at the moment. So again, you might want to pause the video here and look at this checklist, just so you can see that in your revision and in your understanding, that you know everything you need to know at this stage. So again, I will post this video in the comment section and in the description, and you can watch this in your own time, just the idea of a humanist naming ceremony. Ditto, I will do it with a humanist wedding. And I suppose then, just the last bit is humanism in Ireland and the world today. The key thing I want to explain is you can be atheist and agnostic and not consider yourself a humanist. Okay, that you don't want to organize yourself into any specific group. And at the same time, you can be of faith and still have humanist beliefs, because humanism is a philosophy and not a religion. And within that regards, if you are humanist, they often don't organize themselves into any formal groups because that's what religions do, and they want to kind of get away from that formal idea. I suppose people in this country who find out more information use things like the Humanist Association of Ireland or the British Humanist Association, or look up the various humanist associations in other countries. It's also important to note that having, not being of a faith or being a humanist was around 9.8% in the last census. So you're looking at roughly the bones of 500,000 people, which makes it the second largest religion in Ireland. Again, another video that I'll put into links for you to expand your knowledge of humanism, so that when you're talking about it, you have a general, more rounded perspective on humanist belief and theories, is this one from Understanding Humanism, and what kind of world humanists want and what they look for and what they aim for. And what I'll finish up with here is again another set list of questions for you to do, just with regards take in as that checklist for your understanding. And do you know all you need to know about humanism with regards to your exams? Okay, thanks for listening, everyone. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back soon with more videos and more lessons. Take care. Bye bye.